to episode 2 of the Colourcube challenge. If you would like to know more about why I decided to start this, feel free to watch the last video, which was the first one in this particular series. And today we are going to pull some more cards out of this gorgeous box, be inspired and make some lovely things. So shall we just get started? So we are starting off with card number 4 for this one. I am liking that blue and yellow colour combo, so I was looking forward to this one and had an idea to make some cards using some watercolours. Look at that gorgeous blue. So I start off with 2 cards and I am just sort of slapping, as you can see, watercolour down in the corner. Very technical, anybody could do that, no talent at all required. And then I just give it a bit of spritz to soften it and feather the edges. I kind of like the way it's sprayed up, so then I sort of splattered it with water. Now to create the yellow, I wanted to create a separate card and I was just putting yellow all over the card and then stamping onto the card once it had dried. So this is going to give me the yellow part of that colour combo. Just to add a little bit of definition to the flowers, I am using pencil just to give it a little bit of shade and tone so that we've got some darker yellows and lighter ones, and that will sort of just lift the project. And also a couple of leaves because we did have a green in that colour combo as well. So that is the final colour in the combination, and I'm again just using my Prismacolors and stamping and colouring all of those. Once I had done that, it was time to fussy cut. So yeah, that was fun. Went through this big pile and just sort of gradually worked my way through it until it was all done. I also thought a bit of thread would be nice, so I went into my embroidery threads and spent a bit of time getting one that matched well and wrapped it around these card blanks that I had created, and then mounted them onto the actual card so that we've got a greeting card. I then spent a bit of time arranging the flowers. I have to say, I did get myself into quite a bit of a pickle here because I really wished I didn't have that sort of half thread exactly where it was, because I was then sort of working to have to try and hide that so that it looked right. And I would have preferred the flowers further over to the left, but I was trying to make it work, and yeah, I did struggle, so I wished I hadn't done that and that I just sort of tied it off at the back. But you'll live and learn, and we'll do that for future reference. I sort of cut into the flowers to make them more dimensional. This card really wasn't working for me at all, but once I turned it to the opposite orientation so that we were landscape rather than portrait, I found that it worked for me, and then I sort of filled in the areas so the corner was heavy. I do like to add a little bit of doodleage, so we had a little bit of a doodly border just to frame it. It helps to draw the eye in. It's just kind of what I do now. To be honest, it looks naked to me if it doesn't have a doodly border. So we did that, and then finally I am just getting some sentiments. So this sentiment came from the same stamp set from the Whimsical Flowers, and just says "just for you," and I've turned that into like a little ribbon banner thing, and I'm just going to slot that into both the cards after edging it in black, because again it just helps the eye get drawn to it and it doesn't get too lost on the card. So really delighted. A bit different of a style for me, but that is colour card number 4 and 2 greeting cards. So now we're on to 5. Have to say, this is not really my favouriteest combo at all. Yeah. I just find I don't like that green. It's one of my least favourite greens, and I really don't like it with the Pillar Bricks red. I know that's meant to be a really classic colour combo, those two colours together, but really not a big fan of that at all. Anyway, we are working with it. The whole point of this challenge is to expand my creativity, and I got the idea for doing this by watching the J Ram Draws on YouTube. So he obviously draws, and I have started this off using stamps, but he does a lot of sort of sketch work with like a biro pen, and then adds a little bit of colour combo to the work with pencils, and I really liked that idea, so I thought I'd give it a go. I kind of stamped lots of things down and then kind of went over it in pen like you saw, and then I got out some of these colours that matched the card. So we did a little bit of swatching, sharpened our pencils in readiness, ready to get going. I have to say, I really love the sketchy look that this created. This is a technique that we'll try again, and I think it's great for crafters kind of maybe doing this. So what we did was we stamped out in a Memento grey so that you barely saw it, and then we added the detail ourselves with the pen. And so I think it gives a really sketchy look, and for us crafters it makes it look hand-drawn. So I added the colours. I have to say, I love the concept, I love the idea. I don't particularly like the finished result, but I think that's probably because it's one of my least favourite colour combos. I enjoyed the process, and quite often creativity is about that, enjoying the process, and I think I will try it again once with a colour combination that I like. So we are moving on to another one. Once again, I have pulled out my Kuretake Gansi Tambis for this to try and get a colour match. I have to say that I am pulling out watercolours and things, mediums that I don't particularly use that often. I think what I'm finding is I have a very distinct style. I didn't think I had a distinct style, but I realised that I like building scenes, and the fact that I don't particularly have the blues and the greens to have my sky and everything, I'm having to sort of think outside the box. So overall, this process is expanding my creativity as well as expanding my use of colour. So I decided to do a little bit of abstract watercolour detail there, just painted some squares, and then I've pulled out one of my digital images. This is from the Bumble Buzz collection, and I am colouring it up with Copics that again coordinate with the Colourcube card that we are using today. And again, colouring in a way that I like to do, using shadows and mid-tone and highlight, and we are getting that done. The other thing that I've realised as well using the Colourcube challenge is when it comes to Copics, I always sort of pull out Copics and have the Copics in a row. So for example, if I was using R, I'd use R32, R35, R37, something like that. But sometimes those colours together don't quite match what's in the card, so I'm having to kind of use colours from slightly different colour families to get that look. So it is teaching me to mix colours better with my Copics and look at new colour combinations, so I'm enjoying that. I finished off this page by highlighting some of the watercoloured areas, adding a little bit of free doodling with a gel pen and it was a brown gel pen so it matched the card, and sticking the rose in. This is a very different style for me, as is everything we've done today. Very, very different. So I guess the challenge is working. Finally, we didn't have much of the red from this colour combo on, so I just decided to add a few dots with my Artex markers, and that is this one all done. And so we are on to the final colour combination for today, number 7. And I am liking this one. It's very monochromatic, and I like the fact it's blue, so it's a little bit different to the normal black. I also felt it was very nautical, so I have pulled out my Swashbuckling Sweetheart stamps. This is Pesha, and I have stamped it out using Memento ink. So this is perfect for your alcohol-based markers. Pulled out a whole load of markers after swatching them next to the card and making sure they worked. Again, found myself pulling together a variety of pens that I possibly wouldn't have. But yeah, loving the way this kind of looked, and enjoying the fact that there was also a grey in there, so we were able to kind of make her blouse and everything look white by using some really pale, soft greys as well. Also with the skin tone, I sort of still stuck with the colours that were there. I put a layer of like skin tone down first, very, very pale, and then built it up with the blues. So it all kind of works really well. Unfortunately, the footage of that didn't show very well, so we're skipping ahead to a little bit of mixed media. I decided to add some mixed media to this, or turn it into a mixed media project. Now, I'm not going to lie, this little section of video is one of those UFOs that I had. I started making some mixed media things a while back and had the video footage, but never got round to actually making anything with them. So hence the sudden jump in sleeve colour. Don't know if you'd even noticed that. So here is a few odds and ends, some papers, frames, a little key, I think we've got a paper clip in there, a bit of broken jewellery, and then I had covered all of that in gesso. To be honest, the day I was doing this, I was just using up all the scraps, hence why I've not done anything with them yet. So I found both that and this particular thing in my unfinished projects. This was one of those ones that I was doing it as a live, so I had different stages of it ready. So I kind of did complete that project, but not that stage of it, if that makes sense. So anyway, put those elements both together, got out the same blues again, but this time in my Kuretake Gansei Tambi paints again, added it to the project, just added it sort of in three, kind of colour in three different areas and let that move around. Once that was done, I did a little bit of dry brushing with that sort of Prussian blue, just to kind of give it a bit more depth. And because we have the silver in that as well, I added a little bit of gilding wax to some of the areas. What's really cool about this Pebeo gilding wax is it is furniture grade, so it does mean that once you have layered it onto your project, you can buff it up with a cloth, and it really gives it a nice polished effect. So we've knocked all of that back from a random bunch of things and tied it together with colours that are in the project. Just giving a bit of emphasis to the edge, so using the dark blue of what I used for colouring Pasha up to edge it, and then finally stuck her down in the centre. Now, because it's all very monochromatic, she's looking quite lost on there. There's a lot of detail, but it was quite lost. So we're doing quite a bit of heavy shadowing, getting some of that dark blue just behind her, so that even though we've got a lot going on with this mixed media project, she still pops out the page and she is still the main focus. And you can see the difference that has made. Decided to add some sparkle. This was quite difficult because I wanted to use my souffles, but quite a lot of the souffles had like a gold sparkle in them, which would have gone against the colourway. Anyway, eventually I chose the diamond because the sparkle in that was slightly silver and slightly aquamarine. So that worked quite well, and I'm just putting little dollops of it in various places. The thing with this is you need to let it dry. So we just popped that on, and then I left it to dry, and we would see how it went, how it kind of, I think you can just see a little bit of sparkle underneath. Sorry, my words are sort of all over the place, very professional. I decided to get a sentiment from my Aquatic Adventures collection, which is on my website. It's a digi collection, and it says I'd cross an ocean for you, which I thought worked really well with the Pasha image there. Finally, because it was a tag shape, I decided to turn it into a tag, so I got my crocodile out and a little tassel, and that is that make all complete. So here are all the projects together. It's amazing what we've accomplished. I am quite impressed at how different they all look. Definitely very different styles for me, so enjoying pushing myself outside my comfort zone. As I said, I do hope you'll join me in this challenge too. If you do, use the hashtag Colourcube Challenge or tag me, because I would love to see. And don't forget to tune in this time next week for the next episode. And in the meantime, you might enjoy this video right here.